He's known as the godfather of urban fashion. Daymond co-founded the sportswear label For Us, By Us, aka FUBU. Inspired by American hip-hop culture at its peak, FUBU grossed more than $350 million a year in sales.
Man made the money, money never made the man.
Today on Venture, we talk to FUBU co-founder and CEO Daymond. Welcome to Venture, the world of small business and big ideas. I'm Chris Valerio.
I think one of the most fascinating entrepreneurial stories that we've had on this show. You actually started out by making hats and shirts from your mother's basement in Queens.
Yes.
So how did that get started? How old were you? Could you sew?
My mother taught me how to sew a straight line, basically. You know, to hem my pants and things of that nature. You know, she made most of the clothes when I was growing up. And, you know, I saw this hat that I wanted to buy, and it was really poorly constructed. It was just really a straight line and then open on the end like a sleeve, and you just tie a tie around it. And that's how I started actually sewing these new hats that were basically all the hip-hop community wanted. And I remember taking about $80, and I made a bunch of hats, and I sold them on the corner, and I made about $800 the first day selling them.
How did you decide to then say, okay, let me make more clothes?
The hip-hop community started growing larger and larger and larger, and then Timberland and a lot of other designers made a comment that said, well, we don't want rappers or African Americans or, you know, inner city kids wearing our clothes. And then I came up with the name of FUBU.
What year was this?
This was 1992.
And you were around what age?
I was around 20 years old.
How were you making money in your, normal life?
I was a waiter at the time. I was working at Red Lobster.
So you create these shirts and you decide you're going to sell them, but you have a friend, LL Cool J,
yes,
that you convinced to wear your shirt on a video.
Yes.
Is that coincidence? Did you go after trying to find people who
Pure determination. I was fortunate enough to grow up in an area where this new music was coming out of, and it was Hollis, Queens. So you have Run DMC, Russell Simmons, Salt and Pepper, LL Cool J. And I would follow them around, and I would find out what video sets they were going on. And, you know, I always tell people to do something you love, because I would sit on 30 video sets for 18 hours a day, and people say, just get out of here, we're not wearing your clothes. But it was just an honor for me to actually sit on a video set.
You first approached LL Cool J to wear the stuff, and he actually didn't like it.
He didn't like it. He said, I can't wear that with the rest of my stuff. I'm looking for endorsers of other brands like Calvin Klein and other these. If I wear your product, I'll never get those endorsements.
How'd you convince him?
I said, well, what should I do to get somebody of your stature to wear my product? He said, you have to stalk them. You have to literally never let them breathe, just camp out on their lawn and do something, make sure they understand you're not going away. So he was the one I knew the best, so I decided to stalk him after he told me that. I had taken 10 FUBU shirts, and I kept putting them on videos, and sitting on the video set all day, LL Cool J, Run DMC, Mariah Carey, and those same 10 shirts I would take back, and I would dry clean and put in another video and another video. And after about 3 years, public perception was I was a huge company, because I was on every single video, but literally I was just 10 t-shirts, and I was still working at Red Lobster.
At what point did you feel like it hit? How long did that take? You
know, that took about 4 or 5 years, because every time there was some boost or some hurdle we overcame, there was another hurdle waiting. So
were you selling these shirts?
I was selling the shirts to the Queens community. Then I was going on expos and locally selling, as well as people don't realize that Seattle, Washington, and Japan were the first place to mail order my shirts, request by mail. Then the next stage is, you know, we would go to a trade show, and a lot of people would buy it at the trade show. Now we had to manufacture it.
How did you even start to begin to think about the process of manufacturing?
I didn't have any understanding and financial intelligence on how to go get loans and grants or start up small businesses. So my guys, we decided to all move into my home, and we couldn't find any loans, so what we did was we mortgaged the house that I lived in.
Why did you decide to take that risk?
Well, it was ignorance, actually, because I wasn't prepared properly, and I was turned down by 27 banks, and I was frustrated. We came home one day, me and my 4 guys, and we took all the furniture out of the house, and we burned all the furniture in the backyard, and we took that $100,000 mortgage and moved sewing machines in there and started having seamstresses come in and sew the product. So I actually turned a residential house into a factory in the middle of Hollis, Queens.
Who were the seamstresses? Were they from Flushing? Were they from Queens?
We took an ad in the paper. And most of the seamstresses they were from a local area. And that was my first step of scaling. And my second step after that was when I saw that we ran through the money really quickly, I had to go out and try to get an angel investor or some kind of venture capital.
How did you even know where to start?
I was turned down by 27 banks, so I was frustrated already. I didn't know where to start, but we decided to take out an ad in the New York Times, and it said, $1 million in orders need financing. And literally about 35 people called.
You've got to be kidding me.
I swear to you, 35 people called. Now, 30 of them were sharks.
That's the way that you
not
got
the
your...
type of shark I am.
Okay.
30 of them were a different type of shark. But actually 5 of them were real reputable companies, and one was Samsung America, and we ended up striking a distribution deal with Samsung America.
At its peak, you guys were making, 1998, $350 million. What was the revenue model at that point?
I would have the core base of the men's apparel, and that would generate all ancillary forms of revenue. Then you have all the licensing. So you have ladies' boots, bags, tuxedos, fragrance, homeware, things of that nature. And then you also have the category of licensing different territories. So you license Korea, China, and Japan, Saudi Arabia, and these areas, and Amsterdam. So you have 2 forms of licensing.
This is from 1992 to 1998, so you're talking 6 years here. What was that like?
Fun, but very difficult. My wife at the time said she sees me more on television than she saw me in person. The good thing is that we had 4 partners, so 4 of us, one of us could be in 4 different places at one time.
But FUBU fell a victim to its own success, becoming so big it was no longer trendy. What do you do when the cool kids turn their backs on your brand? Saving a failing business when we get back.